Hey guys, it's Fred. Coming up on Christmas. Time to get into the Christmas spirit. Time to set my attention in other directions. This Buford Pusser deal can consume you. I do want to go over a few things. And then over the holiday season, you can be thinking about them, and hopefully maybe you'll do better at me as figuring them out, because I think I have. I think I figured it out from day one, Sheila and I. But let's go through what people are calling evidence. Some people, storytellers and such, are saying they have all kinds of evidence. I'm going to show you the evidence. I'm going to get the evidence. The evidence is out there if you'll look for it. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about two specific times in life. Now, I got me some notes over here. If you see me looking off, it's because I'm looking at my notes. Because I am older, I do get forgetful, especially once I hit record. Once I hit record, my brain goes blank. I can think about something all night, hit record, and it's gone. Don't ask me why. Two significant dates in history dealing with Buford Pusser, Adamsville, McNairy County. Two significant dates. August the 12th, 1967, and August the 21st, 1974. You know, there should be three significant dates there. We should go ahead and throw August the 29th, 2025 in there, because that's when they held their press conference. Of course, 1967 is when the ambush occurred on New Hope Road, and Pauline was killed, and half of Buford's face was shot off. That was 1967. 1974 is when he was killed in a car wreck. Set up, accident, whatever. One thing it wasn't is alcohol involved. But let's get to that later. Because, see, all through this case here, everybody wants to throw out rumors and speculation. Why those two dates matter so much? Where's the evidence? Many say they have evidence, but it turns out to be nothing but rumors. And it does, guys. It's nothing but rumors and hearsay. Is it wrong because people refuse to convict someone on nothing more than rumors and hearsay? Is it wrong? We've been called Pusser rights, naysayers, all these different. Guys, I'm not. You can't put me and Sheila in that category, because Sheila and I would just as soon say that man's guilty of killing a polar bear as anything else. We don't matter to us. Truth's the truth. We're after the truth. But we sure don't like rumors. We sure don't like people's reputations being attacked on rumors and speculation and innuendos and all the things that people like to do sometimes. Where's the evidence? That's the question. Where's the evidence? Let's look at the evidence, guys. Let's look at the evidence. That's right. We can't. We can't look at the evidence because the evidence was lost. The TBI has lost all physical evidence, including the original case file on Buford and Pauline Pusser's ambush. There is no evidence. Let's look at the 1974 evidence. Evidence that never existed. It was made up concerning the .18 BAC, blood alcohol content. It was made up, guys. You know, I really want to stick with the 1967 ambush case where they've accused this man of murder, but let's go ahead, just for the sake of argument and because it's so easy to address, we might as well throw it out there. The FBI did a 54-page report on Buford Pusser's car accident. 54-page report. The FBI took a tie rod off the front of that car and sent it to the lab, and the lab cut it up and lasered it, and what they do in the lab on parts like that. They took that thing apart. They x-rayed it. They made sure there was no cracks in the tie rod, that there was nothing that... They tried their best to prove that this was just a simple accident. Buford was flying down the highway. He's got a Corvette. He's had a good day. He signed a big deal with the movie contract. He went to the carnival with his baby girl. Feeling good. Probably turns some jam on. Takes off down the road. 36 years old. He's just a kid. Look back now, and he's a kid. Back then at that age, we thought we were grown up. He's just a kid still yet. Why does it have to be that if you talk bad about Buford, it's okay? It's good. If you talk bad about Buford, it's good. If you talk good about Buford, it's bad. Why does it have to be that way to some people? What about the people that don't care either way? Sheila's at school again. Sheila's substitute teaching today. But why can't it be like Sheila and I that just want the truth? And if a man's been falsely accused, we want it to be known that he's been falsely accused. If there was evidence that this man did wrong, it should have been presented when he was alive, where they could convict him. Then they could indict him, give him a trial, give him his day in court before a judge, a jury, and his peers. That's the way it works in America. We don't work on rumors. We don't work on hearsay. We don't destroy people's reputations, especially when they're dead. We ain't supposed to do that. There's still people out there that does that, but we're not supposed to. I'm sure the people that's involved in all of this, I'm sure they hope that nobody does them like that when they die. You know, once upon a time in our videos, I said, I hope nobody ever does that. I hope nobody ever calls these people names. I think they will, because I see posts and I'm thinking, I hope nobody does that. And the sinner in me starting to look and say, yeah, hopefully I'll get over this once I get off this Buford Pusser case, and I got to start trying to live right, guys. This is pulled. I'm not saying anything that's not true. Everything I say, I try to be truthful about. It's not like that I'm lying on people, but he doesn't like confusion. And this has definitely caused confusion in my life with other people. It's not about Buford being heavy-handed, whether he was justified in shootings that he had. Don't even matter if he had girlfriends or not, guys. This is not about that. This video here is about solid evidence, proof, truth with proof that Buford killed his wife, Pauline. And I'll tell you what you're going to find, since we're looking for evidence that Buford killed Pauline and proof that Buford killed Pauline. You're going to find exactly zilch. Exactly nothing. No witnesses, no physical evidence, no videos, no photographs, no smoking gun. It's the same stuff that was there 58 years ago in 1967. Read last night where somebody said, oh, so-and-so said it was politics, that Politics stepped in and took over. The governor stepped in. Guys, do you know back in my day growing up, Republicans and Democrats were at it just like they are today? Republicans and Democrats have never seen eye to eye. They've never agreed. They've never taken up or covered for each other. Look and see, Google, who was the governor in 1967 of Tennessee. Look and see your public officials. Look and see that they were Democrats. The governor of Tennessee in 1967 was a Democrat. Do you really think that a Democrat governor is going to step in and cover for a Republican sheriff? Do you really think he's going to call his TBI agents and say, back down, guys, leave them alone? And if you do think that, then why would Buford shoot himself in the face? If Buford had that kind of power, that kind of friendship with a Democrat governor, why did he shoot himself in the face? Why didn't he just let it, cards fall where they may, and then if something happened, say, hey, governor, I need some help down here. And then he would have done the same thing. He would have just called and said, leave him alone. It didn't happen, guys. It didn't happen. It's about, is there solid evidence with proof that Buford killed his wife? Or is it nothing more than rumors? Guys, once upon a time, women were being murdered. Women were being murdered, tied to the stakes and burned for nothing more than somebody pointing their finger at them. You're a witch. She's a witch. Grab her, burn her at the stake. That's what they did. That's what rumors and innuendos and hearsay, and they used to hang people for that. They used to burn them. They called them witches. All you had to do was call them, label them a witch. That was it. This was 1967 when this happened, but it's now 2025. Do we still burn people at the stake? Do we still slander and libel? I don't care if it's legal or not. Mike Elam says it's not legal. You can sue anybody for anything. If you got the filing fee to file a suit, you can sue them. Doesn't mean you're going to win anything, but you can sue anybody. Not worried about anything except 1967, 1974, and basically, I don't have it wrote down, but 2025, because that's what brought all of this on. That's why for the last 4 or 5 months, this is all I've gotten done. Not even worried about 1974. Really want to talk about 1967. 1974 is just so easy. We're going to clear it up in about 30 seconds once we get to that point. Let's discuss 2025, August the 29th. Mr. Davison basically said that because Pauline had a healing nasal fracture, that it was a domestic, and Buford killed his wife. That's what the Attorney General in the state of Tennessee, in that district, said on that stage. Not hard to see. It's all over Google. It's all over the internet. It's on his Facebook page. He says that Pauline Pusser had a healing fracture, nasal fracture, and it's often associated with domestic violence. Buford killed his wife. She didn't have a healing nasal fracture. And nasal fractures are also associated with somebody. Was you all watching the video one night when I was in there showing something? I put my hand up and hit Sheila right. I hit her in the forehead. But that could have very easily been her nose. Nose fractures. I've had three nose fractures during police work and karate fighting, martial arts. 3 of them. They're well healed. I can't breathe. I'm always blowing my nose and trying to clear a passageway. It causes you all kinds of issues, but you live through it. You can live with a fractured nasal cavity. But there's many ways to get them besides somebody punching you, besides the domestic violence. Ball bats, roller skating and fall, run into a door, a ball hits you. People's told us all kinds of things since we've been doing this. They write and tell us how their nose was broke. We could probably write a book on, make a list of how some of the odd things that how they got their noses broke. Romping around with the infant baby, and the baby foot comes down and kicks them in the nose. A baby, a 6 month or 8 months, whatever it was, baby, broke the mother's nose. She had to lay in the floor and had the baby laying on his chest, and it was kicking. Had them little feet moving and broke the mother's nose. Mr. Davison, some of this stuff causes me concern, but you've heard me, if you've listened to my videos, you've probably heard me before, so I'm not going to harp on it. But what Mr. Davison and Mr. Roush says really causes me concern as a police officer, because in my career, I have dealt with many men with badges, men with college degrees who were prosecutors. I've dealt with many honest ones also. But I've also dealt with three sets on different cases. It's actually 4 sets, but we'll just go with 3. But because someday I'm going to tell you about them, I want you to understand all this. I just haven't yet. I keep waiting for. Mr. Davison says that Pauline Pusser had a healing nasal fracture. They hired a pathologist to do the autopsy, and along with the pathologist, they hired an anthropologist, a person that studies bones, the study of bones and skulls. And the anthropologist wrote in her report, Pauline Pusser had a well-healed. I'm not going to harp on it a long time. If you all can't see the difference, it's because you don't want to. Look at it for what it is. I tell people sometimes a case file is like the Bible. You look at it, what it says. You don't add to it. You don't take away. If the Bible says something, is a sin, it's a sin. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. Just say, hey, I'm sinning. I'm hell-bound. There ain't no getting around it. No matter what you say, you're not going to change what that Bible says. Same way with this. Mr. Davison says she had a healing nasal fracture. The anthropologist said Pauline Pusser had a well-healed nasal fracture. Big difference, guys, in a healing, which is in the process of healing. Something that's in the process of getting better. And then a healed. A well-healed nasal fracture it's better. It's finished. It's already healed. Big difference there. Especially in court. Especially if you went to court. And, you know, this is not like a lay person that's never been in court. This is not like a person that doesn't have a law degree or doesn't know the law. This is Mr. Davison, Attorney General Davison, the Attorney General in that part of Tennessee. The report said, imagine a police officer coming on the stand and he's giving testimony. Imagine Mr. Davison, I'm getting off my notes, but this just comes to me. And imagine Mr. Davison being a defense attorney. He's not a prosecutor. He's a defense attorney. And I come up there and I'm reading this report. And while I'm reading this report, he says, Officer McCoy, what about her nasal fracture? And I said, yes, sir, Mr. Davison. She had a healing nasal fracture. And he reaches over on his table and he pulls up the report from the anthropologist and he says, a healing nasal fracture? Officer McCoy, you wouldn't try to deceive the jury or me, would you? No, no, sir. Because in the report, it says she had a well-healed nasal fracture. See, if the shoe was on the other foot, if that was Mr. Davison, as an attorney that he is, I'm sure he's competent. I'm sure he's competent in his knowledge of the law. I'm sure he knows how the difference between healing and healed. I'm sure that he knows that. Why did he do that? Why would he change the language so the people, the reporters out in that audience would hear him say she had a healing fracture? Oh, he's beat the crap out of her. In fact, Mr. Baldwin, we did a video on it. Mr. Oakley Baldwin says in one of his videos right afterwards, Pauline was beat up before she was killed. She was beaten. That's what he says. He says that's what the autopsy says. Autopsy doesn't say nothing like that. What they got out of that autopsy was Pauline Pusser was 33 years old. She was shot in the head and she was killed. Homicide by gunshot. That's it. We would later find out. Let's go back. Mr. Roush, on the same stage as Mr. Davison, said about the healing nasal cavity. Mr. Roush says you can see all the evidence from the ambush crime scene. It's in the report. Read the report. You can see all the evidence. Guys, when people started reading that report after they spent their $400 for it, and they started looking through that report, they found out that that's not true. That wasn't a true statement that Mr. Roush made. Mr. Davison's not made a correct statement. Now, Mr. Roush, the two people we're looking for the truth. The two people that supports Lady Justice, and then they start building their case, and they build their case, and they build their case till finally they say, hey, yeah, we got a case here. This person's guilty. We build our cases on evidence and on proof, not rumors, not book writers, not innuendos, not hearsay, not from things that people says that other dead people told them. I guarantee you they wouldn't want a case built against them on somebody that's dead, on what somebody else says they were told. Buford doesn't deserve that neither. We would later find out that that's not true. There is no evidence. The evidence is lost. You cannot see any of the physical evidence. It's lost. The TBI lost all the evidence. Lost, stolen, misplaced, destroyed. It's gone. It's gone. Along with the original file from 1967. Don't ask me how. They say Moffat's statement shows up here. Buford's statement shows up there. This shows up here because the file has been missing. The last time they saw the file was 1976. They started looking for it again in 83. Couldn't find it. They're still looking for it when they wrote this report in 2025. No evidence, no file. Even the original file has been lost. Now, so far, we've got Mr. Davison and Mr. Roush that's not been truthful. So, I'm not going to go over their whole statements. Not going to go over these people's statements. Because to me, one fib, Sheila don't like for me to use the word lie, but if you tell something that's not true, it's a lie. Especially when you know the difference. So our two people on stage, they're discredited. They've lost all credibility because they've been deceitful, in my opinion. So forget about anything else they say. Now, Mr. Davison says, Dr. Michael Reveal opines Pauline was killed outside the car and moved inside the car. Dr. Michael Reveal. Dr. Michael Reveal has a website. We've made a video on it where he's an expert witness. One of his things says if you're not satisfied, it's got the seal of 100% guarantee. If you're not satisfied, we'll give you a refund. If you're not satisfied on their findings, his findings, he'll give your money back. How do you make any money if you work on a case and then you come up with a different scenario than what somebody's wanting or pointing your direction in the direction of? How do you? Can't make no money like that. And really, had this case come up with nothing, had they reviewed Buford Pusser's case and said, nah, there's nothing here. There's nothing unusual here. Okay, just keep it in the code files. There's nothing to it. Tell that guy writing that book and telling all these stories on Facebook, have at it. He's free to do what he wants, but there's no proof here. They didn't do that. Dr. Michael Reveal opines Pauline was killed outside the car and moved inside the car. Guys, Dr. Michael Reveal just gave you his opinion. In that doctor's opinion, now it doesn't say he's a crime scene investigator. It says he's a physician and he's a medical examiner. I don't know why he didn't perform or wasn't there while they were doing the medical exam. If they're paying him, why didn't he do the medical exam, the autopsy of Pauline? Dr. Reveal says that in his opinion, she was shot outside the car and moved inside the car. That's it. That's it. That's his opinion, guys. Not 5 other doctors behind him, not 100 doctors behind him, not the entire medical staff of the McNairy County Hospital, wherever he works. Dr. Reveal says that in his opinion, Pauline was killed outside the car and put inside the car. Mike Elam says she was dirty. Oakley Baldwin, all these people, they say different things, but she had dirty clothing where she was drugged back in the car. That's good enough. That's easy. Look at the clothing. We can't. The clothing, the shoes, spent casings, the blood samples, the projectiles, the car, everything's missing. They've lost it all. Be nice to look at the clothing. Clothing had dirt all over them. That might be a good question. There's nothing there, guys. We can't label somebody as a murderer when there's no proof. No matter what somebody wants to think, or no matter what they actually think. Are they thinking it so they can write a book, so they can get a movie made, so they can get their name in the news and hold a press conference? Or are they thinking it because they really believe that? It doesn't matter what they believe. It's what they can prove and what evidence they can show. So Dr. Reveal, Mr. Davison, Mr. Roush. It's Dr. Reveal's opinion. Nothing more than opinion. We accuse a dead man of murder because of an opinion. Who does that? Who does that? They accused guys on that stage when when Mr. Davison and Mr. Roush said that Buford Pusser would be indicted if he was alive today for murdering his wife. They convicted Buford Pusser of murder. He'll always, forevermore, be convicted of murder to certain people. And then they'll tell their children and their children. And does it really matter? Does it really matter? Probably not. Probably not to a lot of people. If it was my family, it would matter. If it was me, it would matter. If it was Mr. Davison or Mr. Roush, Dr. Reveal, I have a feeling that it would matter if somebody made up a tale on them when they die and put it out there. Well, evidently Mr. Davis and Mr. Roush, along with other so-called witnesses. Guys, I don't know if y'all remember this movie, and I discussed it in one of our videos. Have Gun, Will Travel. If any of you's my age. Remember that old Western? Have Gun, Will Travel. He was a gunslinger. Had a business card. Have Gun, Will Travel. If you need somebody done away with, call this guy and he'll. And that's what expert witnesses, that's what I relate expert witnesses to. Defense, prosecution, good or bad, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all the same. Watched a video yesterday. I put it on here. Old man's beat half to death by the cop. His defense attorney says, well, I've talked to all kinds of cops, said they'd do the same thing. I've talked to all kinds of cops, said they didn't see nothing wrong with this. That's what a defense attorney, there's actually defense attorneys that represent Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. The sheriff here in Kentucky walked into the judge's office on video camera and pulls out his bang bang, and bang bang's the judge. 3 different places, follows him around to make sure he's DOA. So there's expert witnesses on both sides that you can get. They're out there. They're for hire. Have a degree, will travel. Have an opinion, will travel. Have a consulting firm, will travel. You get my drift. You get my drift. Another person with the title opines that the 2 crime scenes were staged. There's one other person, one of the reporters asked, do you think Buford had anybody helping him? Do you tell us about the staged crime scenes? And Mr. Davison or Mr. Roush, one says, well, we have one. We have one expert witnesses that says it looks like the crime scenes were staged to him. Wow. One person, an opinion, he opines. Another person with the title opines that the 2 crime scenes were staged. And that's all it took. All it takes is this doctor, this title. All it takes is this expert witness, this title, Mr. Davison's title, Mr. Roush's title, and you've got a man convicted of murdering his wife. He's been in the ground for 51 years. It happened 58 years ago, but he's been convicted. Can never more defend himself. He's dead. Mr. Davison makes a point. At least one person says the crime scene was staged. At least one person. Well, it wasn't at least one. It was one. He had one person. And that person owns a firm, owns a security consulting firm. He's an expert witness, been classified as an expert. And he says that. Did that man make history? He's not going to on this channel. But did he make history in that report? Of course. Are there other defense attorneys out there? Are there other prosecution agencies that call him up and say, hey, I saw where you was in on that Buford Pusser case, and I need you look at this case here for me. I got this guy, and he killed his wife, and she's supposed to be in the bedroom when he killed her, but they found some blood in the kitchen. They're trying to say that she was killed there, and can I get you to look at this? Oh, sure, I'll come over and look at it. No problem. Whatever it is, an hour, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 an hour. Who knows? I don't know what it is. Everybody charges different things. According to what your reputation is, according to how good you are in court, according to how much of a convincer you are, according to how you can convince that jury that what you're saying is better than what this other expert witness is saying on the other side. If you're getting ready, if you're looking at murder, if you're looking at a 20, 30, 50 years in jail, how much money would you pay for an expert witness to come in there and say, happened over here, it didn't happen over there? Let's don't use expert witness. How much money would you give somebody if you could go up there and give that judge money behind closed doors and say, hey, judge, my client don't want to go to jail. He wants to give you something here. Here's an envelope. Here, take this, judge. and they're looking at 50 years in prison, would they give the judge 100,000, 500,000, if they could, without knowing that the judge wouldn't charge them with that? There's people out there like that, guys. Sorry to tell you. There's people nowadays that badges, robes, law degrees, titles, can't trust them. Sorry to say. The so-called reenactment was not a reenactment at all. They had what was called a reenactment. For their report, they said, for the reenactment, we did this, this, and this. A reenactment is where you duplicate something. There was nothing duplicated there. Buford Pusser or Warren Jones or John Sloan, none of these guys ever mentioned a tripod, a rifle on a tripod 30 to 50 feet away from the vehicle. That's not a duplication. That's not a reenactment. That's a staged scene. That would be a staged scene. It's staged, not a reenactment. If you've got two cars pulled up beside of each other here and one's shooting at the other one out the wind as they're going down the road, you would at least want to pull two cars up beside of each other and let the guy in the back and the guy in the passenger shoot from there. You won't be over here on a tripod 50 feet away. You may not be able to drive down the road safely and do that, so you may have to park at a shooting range, but you would at least get the same cars. You'd get you a 67 Cadillac. You'd get you a 67 Plymouth Ferry 1, and that's what you would use. If you want to do a reenactment, you wouldn't face the bodies facing each other sideways, so when Pauline's head blows up, it goes into the back seat. You would want her looking straight ahead, like they were going down the road, sitting straight ahead, that when they shoot her in the head, even if she would have been looking at him like this, when they shot her in the head, it would. In fact, she wouldn't have been looking at him like this, guys. If she'd been looking at him like this, like they had them dummies, they would have had to shot her from the passenger side to go through her head and come out like it did. So she was looking straight ahead in that car as they're driving down the road, because they said one projectile from the front, from the back to the front, high velocity round. That's 30-06. They found two 30-06 casings. So she was looking straight ahead directly. And when that bullet went through the side and it creased, went through the back and come down the side of her head, taking out her eyeball, that blood went all over Buford. That's where the blood splatter comes from. And they know it. People's not stupid. It was nothing more than a staged scene to look like a reenactment. So they could say in the report that they did a reenactment. Guys, surely you are not that naive. Or in this day and time, that trustworthy. You can't be that naive to believe everything that you're shown or told about this case. And in this day and time, you can't be that trustworthy. Look at some of the most powerful law enforcement officers in the United States, in the world. Look at their credibility. Look what's happened over the years. Look it's despicable. It's despicable what politics, money, power, influence has done to our justice system. Or will you take the word people who despise the very person they now accuse? Or will you take the word of those people whose Buford Pusser beat their dad up? Buford Pusser shot and killed their aunt. Rode self-defense, but I'm not going to justify that. Let's just, no matter how, are we to take the word, a person that's got a longer rap sheet than what his aunt had, a longer rap sheet than what his father had, but we're to believe that that person is credible in what he says? A person that is out following the sheriff around the very night that he gets killed in the wee morning hours of the morning, and there was nothing suspicious about that, and they point the finger at Buford Pusser. No criminal's ever going to do that. Nobody guilty of a crime would ever do that and say, I wasn't there, but Jerry was. Jerry was down there. David was here. Felix was. Nobody would ever point a police officer in the wrong direction, in any direction other than their self, would they? People says that out in parking lots, they're dead. They're dead now. Through accusations, innuendos, hearsay, and rumors, 58 years after something happened. This case should have never been. Once the TBI found that they had lost all the evidence, all the physical evidence, that they could hold in their hand, they could show a jury, and they could bring a ballistics expert in, they could bring a blood splatter expert in that actually looked at the car, that actually looked at the... Do we only look at 1 or 2 or 3 sentences of a derogatory statement instead of the entire content? I never did that when I was a police officer. Write the statement up, let the suspect sign the statement, witness the statement, date the statement. A lot of times we even recorded the person. On these TBI reports, the ones that I've seen, I can't get the report. I haven't seen the whole report, but you've got 1 sentence, a derogatory statement toward Buford Pusser. 2 sentences, both derogatory. 3 sentences, derogatory toward... Where's the statement? Where is the entire statement from the start to the finish? I presented my badge, I identified myself, and start from there. I'm Detective Fred McCoy. I'm here to talk to you about the Buford Pusser case, and let it go. Tape it, then hit transcribe. It's easy on a computer anymore. Transcribe the whole interview. Were there any leading questions? Were there any, like the ladies? The ladies say, oh, we're just a bunch of girls here talking. This ain't going to be public, is it? We're just a bunch of girls, honey. You're fine. It's okay. We're cops. We do that. Cops is, I can't, do we only look at the 1 or 2 or 3 sentences? Where's the entire statements? We have people who make statements like, well, me and Buford were friends at one time. We did a video on this fella. That's an easy way to tell that they may have been friends at one time, but they're not friends when he died. They were not friends when he died. He's not friends now. He has nothing good to say about Buford now. That's what Mr. Howell said. We made a video. I called and talked to him, and then Sheila talked to him on the phone. Sheila said, oh, you was friends with Buford. We were at one time. At one time. That means they're not anymore. Would it be curious that that person didn't have anything good to say about Buford Pusser? Would that surprise anybody? We were at one time. We were friends at one time. That means they fell out. They're not friends anymore. Would a derogatory statement from that person surprise you? Why is there no statements in support of Buford? In that entire report, and I haven't seen the entire report, but the parts that I have seen that people have sent me, there's not been one good statement. One good statement. Nothing. Buford Pusser was a criminal and a bad person from the word go from what I've seen. Maybe I've just not seen those pages yet. Why's it got to be so one-sided? I want to say something when I do that. I want to say something, but I don't want to have to go back and erase it after I say it, so I'll just hold it to myself. But the TBI could not find one person that had anything good to say, exculpatory, about Buford Pusser. Guys, what about, I haven't seen it. If you all have, please tell me. What about LaVon Plunk, P.D. Plunk's wife, Ricky Plunk's mother? It's been said by a couple of book writers that she'd been out all night bar hopping with Pauline Pusser while Buford was working. They'd been out drinking. It's funny, because she got killed the next morning, Pauline did. They done an autopsy 58 years later. Liver, kidneys, bladder, whatever you would get it from. I'm not a pathologist. Didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn last night. But the only thing they found in her system was caffeine. Her and Buford had drank a cup of coffee before they went out, or while they were on the run. They've drinking them a cup of coffee. No alcohol. But yet these guys say, oh, they was out all night drinking. She come home to get her clothes, and LaVon parked down the street, heard a gunshot, got scared and took off. Ricky Plunk turns in a gun that his dad had all them years, a stolen gun that he knew about. Ricky Plunk's sister says that night, the night that before Pauline got killed, that her mother, LaVon, was home with her and her brother. Now, Ricky would have been somewhere around 11 years old, according to his statement at that time. So LaVon was at home with her daughter and her son. I don't know if the sister's older than Ricky or younger, but she says that the mother was there with them. That's a lie that she was ever out running around with Pauline Pusser drinking. Is there a report to that effect? Because somebody had sent me something where they've got in the report where Mike Elam, I think it was, had said that LaVon was out drinking with Pauline Pusser that night. Is there another report there that anybody's found so far? Please put it in the comments, where the daughter was interviewed by the TBI. I don't know her name. She was interviewed by the TBI. Ricky Plunk's sister, LaVon, and P.D. Plunk's daughter was interviewed by the TBI, and she said, yeah, Mom come in drunk as a skunk, staggering around that night. I remember. Or did she give them a statement that said, no, Mom didn't leave the house that night. She had me and Ricky. We were at home. Dad was at home because Buford's out working the road. So was P.D. Plunk at home also? What did she tell the TBI? Oh, wait a minute. TBI didn't interview her, did they? Once they found out that she was truth, some people calls it pro-pusser. How about truth pusser? How about just tell the truth? Not, why is it pro-pusser if you have something to tell that's good? That's the truth. But you're a foe if it's something. They didn't interview her from what I can find out. They had a narrative, in my opinion. They had a narrative, and they reached it. They reached their narrative. It took expert witnesses. It took money. It took so-called reenactments. It took all this and that to say, guys, they didn't expect people to pay $400 for this report. Read the report, they said. They didn't expect nobody to go out and spend $400 to read a report. They did, and they're still doing it today. People still buying that report. It's a shame they got to make money. But fame, fortune, and name notoriety. Some of them only wanted their name out there. They wanted their name on their banners, on their podium in front. They wanted that name out there. I feel, in my opinion, they had higher political aspirations. I don't know if they'll go through with them now, but I feel that's what that was about. Wanted to get that name out there. They got their name out there. I hope it forevermore tarnishes their reputation. It should. Their reputation should be as tarnished as what they did to Buford Pusser with no evidence. See, there's no evidence on Buford Pusser that he killed Pauline. There's no evidence. There's no physical evidence. There's no eyewitnesses. But there's eyewitnesses to what Mr. Davison stood on that stage and said when he said she had a healing fracture, and the anthropologist said, well healed. When he said Buford was a domestic violence abuser, when there's absolutely no, he spoke that into history. Never one time was Pauline ever at the hospital. Never at one time was the Adamsville police ever at Buford's house. Buford, your wife called on you here, said you beat the crap out of her. Not me. Not one report. Not one. Her mother and father never seen nothing out of them. The children, the grandchildren, says they never seen nothing. The 1974 case is simple. It didn't happen. That's easy enough, ain't it? It didn't happen, guys. There was no blood sample taken. There was no BAC of 18, blood alcohol content of 0.18. The report from the state trooper says no evidence of alcohol or drugs. The report from the accident scene says no alcohol or drugs. Don't read into it. Don't read into it. Take it for what it is. If it's not there, it's not there. Don't listen to Mike Elam. Don't listen to Oakley Baldwin. Oakley Baldwin said the coroner took a breath sample after he smelled alcohol on Buford's breath. Dead man don't breathe, guys. They don't talk, and they don't breathe. Not going to smell alcoholic beverage on a dead person's breath. You take a blood sample. Don't read into it. It wasn't taken. It wasn't taken. If it was taken, it was done away with. If it was taken, it's no more. That would be the trooper. That would be the, Paul Irvin was the trooper, and a Killingsworth, I think, was the name of the city officer that accompanied Pillar to the morgue, they said. Now, he had a comment. Sheila tried to contact him, and he never got back with us, but we'd love to talk to him. But he made a comment on Mike Elam's page years ago when Mike Elam first started talking about Buford Pusser, and he took up for Buford Pusser and said, dead men don't talk and so forth like that. Can't talk, can't defend themselves. So that can pretty well tell you how he feels about Mike Elam and Mike Elam's stories. And if it doesn't exist, then it wasn't taken, and it was only spoken or written in the history. The FBI did a 54-page report. Do you think, had it been something as important as a BAC of 0.18, that it wouldn't have been in that report? Guys, the FBI worked on that case forever because Helen wanted to prove that her son had been murdered. Just like the other attempts on his life, she wanted... It was too simple to make it look like it was an accident. There had to be more to her. We have a feeling, Sheila and I do, that it was the tires, the Goodyear tires that had been recalled, and Buford's foot. Speed. It's what we feel it is. It's our opinion. We opine. Doesn't make us right. Do you think had the FBI had a tie rod that they were x-raying, they were cutting through, they were looking for cracks, they were doing all this work on this case, how much easier would it have been on them just to say, yep, here's your blood alcohol, guys, forget all that nonsense. He was drunk and flying down the road. You don't have to do all these other tests on the car. You've done got it. You've got a blood alcohol of 0.18. They didn't have it, guys. That was spoken into history after Buford was dead, after he was buried, after it was all over with. And then the rumors started, just like they did after August the 12th, days and weeks later, when the rumors, and we all know how rumors are. Rumors will travel faster than the truth any day. Trying to cut steel to look for cracks. Do you think that if they could have had it simpler and they could have just said it was blood alcohol of 18? Mr. Howell spoke this into history. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. He has spoken it into history so much and so many times and for so long that I think he actually believes it. Somewhat like Mike Elam. Mike Elam's been on this story for so long and on this path that, just like he says, illusionary truth. If you tell somebody something enough, they believe it. That includes yourself, Mike. A person can lie so much that they start to believe their own lies. Mr. Howell, when I was talking to him on the phone, he said, yeah, he was drunk. He blew. It was Mr. Howell's niece also that was 6 or 8, 10 years old, forget what it was, at the fair that night that said she smelled. Mr. Howell's level, he's up there close to him. He didn't smell nothing on Buford's breath. He's 6'6", she's down here. She says she thought she smelled alcohol, which we believe was cologne. Hot August evening, uniform, or suit and tie is what Buford wore, jacket. Mr. Howell says, oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. Where'd you see it at? I've seen it. Who had it? Well, state police should have it. Well, state police don't. State police says there's no evidence of alcohol or drugs. That's what you call spoken into history and written into history. And that's all he had to do. With somebody like Mike Elam, all he had to do was make that statement to Mike Elam. Mike Elam, he's like a news reporter. That's how the newspapers get their stories, In fact, has been spoken into history so many times that he believes it himself, much like Mike Elam, Mr. Baldwin. Guys, Sheila and I believe if you're going to accuse someone of a crime, be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. We don't think that's too much to ask. If you're going to accuse somebody of a crime, especially murder, be able to prove it. Be able to, especially if they're dead, then you've got to prove it with such overwhelming evidence that they don't need a trial. They're so guilty that, well, even if they was alive, they couldn't lie out of this one. They didn't do it, guys. That's what the law requires, beyond a reasonable doubt. So many people say, just look at the overwhelming evidence. You'll hear Mike Elam. Guys, the evidence is overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. Really? Where is it? Isn't it funny that these people that says that, they never show you the evidence? They say it. The evidence is, I don't want to argue with you. The evidence is overwhelming. Where is it? Simple 3 words. Where is it? Can we see it? Show it to us. There is no evidence. It's all been lost. There's no evidence of an ambush. Even the car is gone. The road's still there. New Hope Road's there and the 2 spots, but the evidence that they point to, the overwhelming evidence will talk to, didn't you see where they said that their mother and their aunt was in the parking lot at 4 o'clock in the morning? Didn't you see where they said that, well, Buford didn't get home but between 2:30 and 4. Carl got the first call at 4 o'clock. He didn't call Buford out. They didn't call Buford at home until 5 o'clock that morning. How could they be in the parking lot of an old rundown honky-tonk at 4 o'clock in the morning when they were home in bed. But the TBI put that in their report because that brings up doubt. That brings up speculation. Oh, okay, well, you put that along with Mr. Way saying this and this person saying that, and Mike Elam. Everything that's in that report is in Mike Elam's book, guys, or going to be in this next edition. Not even rumors related to 67 and 1974. Other events related to the murder. Accusations. Guys, ask yourself, if this was you, would you want someone standing up to defend your honor? More importantly, if this was a member of your family, because most people care more about their family members than they do about themselves. If this was a member of your family, your dad, your mom, your uncle, your brother, your sister, and somebody accused them of something, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be murder. If somebody accused a member of your family of something that you knew they were innocent of, would you stand up for them and defend them? And if you would, why are you so easily accepting what people are speaking in the history and telling you? Why would you want somebody to look at the evidence if it was you or a member of your family, but you're not willing to do that for Buford Pusser? You're willing to just say, oh, the TBI said it, it's got to be true. Guys, the TBI is not the... I have a feeling they're not, at least certain ones, are not what I would hope to be as a police officer. If this was a member of your family, would you be standing up for them? Otherwise, you would have gone through life as a hoodlum. Do you think Buford Pusser would have been the person he was had he known his reputation was going to be slandered in the end? Imagine the bribes he could have taken, the women he could have had, the partying he could have done. That man could have done anything. Why did he even worry about his reputation if he was that mean? If we're going to drag him through the mud anyway. But on the other hand, we've taken Louise Hathcock, Jack Hathcock, W.O. Hathcock, Towhead White, Nix, Billy Johnson, Floyd, all these people that either run from polygraphs or failed polygraphs. We've taken them that were actually criminals, proven criminal record criminals, and we're taking something that somebody said that they had said over Buford Pusser, a man that's never been convicted of a crime. People couldn't be him, so they attack him. It's nothing more than that. They're jealous. It's jealousy. It's people wanting revenge for their family members. Family members still need to feel justified in defending their ancestors. They think they're doing some kind of their ancestors would probably tell their descendants at this point, you got a better place to come to, or you got a worse place to come. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about upholding my reputation. I went through a spell and I was a bad person then. You ain't going to be able to defend me. You can put lipstick on a pig. You still got a pig. And where they're at now, they may be wanting to tell their descendants, don't do this. You're messing up. You're going to end up where I'm at. You're going to... Or they may be with Buford Pusser in heaven. Who knows? I don't know where nobody's at. I don't have no crystal ball. Don't believe in crystal balls. These family members, these people that Buford Pusser arrested back in the day or killed or fouled, it's revenge. This is their way of revenge. Even the women that were supposed to be in the parking lot, I understand one of them wrote a book and they hated Buford, and by standing up for them, they feel that they need to slander their ancestors' accuser. 58 years later, no evidence, guys. No witnesses. No signed, dated, witness, letterheads, statements. They got a statement out there. They've taken Buford Pusser's so-called statement that Warren Jones or Mike Elam, somebody has written on 3 or 4 sheets of paper, regular paper, no letterhead, no signature, no date, no witness by, and now they have put a logo, the TBI's logo at the bottom right-hand corner of the page to make it look like it's an official document. That's deceit. Nobody knows where that paper came from with those typewritten words on it. Nobody knows where that came from. But they've taken and put their seal on it now like it's an official document. That's deceit. Because we have one of the originals without. And guys, where did it come from? Where'd that paper come from? If the file has been lost since 1976, is that something Mike Elam could have typed up? A lot of opinions. Some even paid for by the TBI and the state of Tennessee. Not hard to get an opinion on something if you're paying somebody for it. That's what expert witnesses are. You're paying for their opines. They might say they're an expert. They might be an expert. They might have studied something but if you're paying them, more than likely with an expert witness, you give them a heading and they'll meet you there. It's my opinion. It's what I've seen in 40 years of a police career. Defense or prosecution. Doesn't matter. I'm not taking... Usually it's the defense. Usually the defense is the one that would hire a expert witness that would say anything, or that's the defense because they're representing the bad person. This here, this is the prosecution that did this. You should be mad, but not at Buford, at those who attempted to fool you. Y'all should be angry. You should be angry. Some people's angry at me, and I understand. It's okay. I don't care. When I leave this world, I'm going to leave the same way that I served as a 40-year career police officer. I turned in corrupt politicians, corrupt police officers, corrupt prosecutors, corrupt judges. Can show you the arrest, the convictions of some, and then some slipped to the wayside. Just like who killed Pauline Pusser and shot Buford Pusser in his jaw have slipped through the cracks, and they got away with what they did. It happens. You don't get everybody. At those who thought you wouldn't pick up at the wording. These people on that stage didn't think you guys was going to pick up on the way they were wording things. There was some smart media people out there. They were afraid to put the pressure to them. They knew they were getting fed a line when they said, see the report, see the report. They didn't want to make them mad at them. See all the evidence. When they said see all the evidence, they knew at that time that evidence had been lost. It was no more. There was no evidence to see. But they said you can go see all the evidence. That's deceit. That's not true. But because the person saying these things and the positions they hold, the reporters and a lot of people who was watching that news conference that day took them at their word. They believed them. Sorry, guys, I learned from a young age, you can't think just because someone carries a badge or a law degree that they're honest. They have character, they have dignity, they have integrity. Or because they hold a position in the criminal justice system. It doesn't give them character. Unless Mr. Hathcock, Mr. Ricky Plunk, Mr. Nix ever come forward and tell everything they know truthfully, then what happened on New Hope Road on August 12, 1967 will never be known. Ricky Plunk knows it. His dad told him what happened. Ricky Plunk knows it. My opinion. Dennis Hathcock definitely knows. Dennis Hathcock knows the truth. I hope these people don't go to their grave with it, because that might be held against them someday when they're standing there at the... I don't want to compare nobody else's life to mine, because I'm probably going to be more worried about mine than, or I better be at that point. But we should have a clear conscience when we leave this world. There's people out there that know what happened, who was involved, how it went down. TBI didn't want to talk to them. The TBI had a narrative. They pointed toward Buford Pusser, because that's who had the name and the fame. That's the one that was going to make everybody famous. And it will, hopefully. It will make them famous, hopefully, as being... Not many are left who were there or that were told firsthand about what happened and who was responsible. Sheila and I can tell you this: there's no solid evidence whatsoever that would prove Buford Pusser killed his wife. There's no evidence. We've worked for August, September, October, November, December, almost January. We've worked for almost 6 months, hard. There's no evidence, guys. And if it was, if I found it, I would have brought it out. I would have said, hey, he's guilty of sin. It ain't there. You're not going to find it. You can't even find what the TBI had. Nothing more than rumors spoken into history and written into history. Guys, it's Christmas. I've made some enemies over this case. I've had hurt feelings, had my feelings hurt. If you can hurt my feelings, I'm almost immune to stuff like that. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to hate each other. The thing I would ask everybody to think about before you go pointing these fingers, think about the witch trials. Think about the witch trials, Salem witch trials. When rumors were having people killed. This man's already dead. We can't kill him. But we can assassinate his reputation. We can do that. If we do that, let's do it with proof. Let's don't call rumors evidence. Let's don't call speculation evidence. Let's don't call hearsay evidence. If you wasn't there on New Hope Road that night or that morning and you didn't see what happened, there are no eyewitnesses. Everybody's either dead, in prison, or they're just not going to talk. There is no eyewitnesses. There is no physical evidence. There's no clothes, no shoes, no bullets, no spent casings, no blood samples, no car. There's nothing to go by. The only thing they got to go by is a man who's wrote a book, and then a copycat wrote a book after him. Both of these men are deceitful. Both of these men they tell lies. Both of these men say they retired or had extensively long careers in law enforcement, serving as sheriff, serving 35 years, retired. Now, when they get caught up in it, they start backtracking. But that's what they said. Don't let them backtrack. They said it. If they, just like these people over here, if they told you something on that stage or in these reports or something that's not the truth, then it's a lie. And if they'll tell you one lie, they'll tell you another and another. Guys, don't let Mike Elam, because he sits there in his little cubicle and tells you things, doesn't make it the truth. I've got my own self to report to someday for my indiscretions or whatever you want to call them. And I don't care how little they are. On that day, it's probably going to mean a lot. I would hate, I don't want to compare myself, but I hope Mr. Elam someday comes to his senses and says, hey, Lord, made some comments, wrote some things down that's not true, and thank you guys, hour and 15 minutes. I don't know if I'll probably just put this out there, watch it ever how you want, in parts, watch a little bit and turn it off. This probably, I ain't gonna say it's gonna be my last, because every time I say it's my last, I'm out of this, I'm done. Somebody comes back and comments or throws something out there, and I have to, I'm human. I'm just like Mike Elam or Baldwin or Davis, Roush, any of them. I'm human. So I get caught up in that stuff also. I'm hoping I don't have to respond back. I'm hoping this is my last video, but I'm not going to say I won't, because probably would. Human nature, and I'm a sinner. I let human things take over our Christian thinking sometimes. I'm not a real good Christian, be honest. Thanks, guys.